Why, hello there. This is DJartt of the High Score 510 podcast. First of all, I would like to thank you for listening to our show. Second of all, I want to remind you with a shameless plug of our Patreon page. Join our growing community and help support an indie podcast. The perks of being a patron, you ask? Well, let me tell you. Number one, you'll get our weekly quick hitters. Number two, you'll get feature conversations that are too hot for our regular show. And number three, we cannot leave out number three. Why, Jesus will bless you. So go check out patreon.com/highscore510. And for the price of a tall pumpkin spice latte, you can help AG3 afford his Peloton subscription. Regardless of which, we appreciate your support and hope you enjoy the show.
You are listening to High Score 510, where real talk is our vernacular.
We should talk about how I finally listened to Playboy Cardi thanks to Jackson, and it was awful. I listened to a song that had Kanye on it. I thought I was listening to Albert Einstein preach about the theory of relativity, listen to Kanye compared to Playboy Cardi.
Mm-hmm.
He can only say 5 words at a time? You know, you talk about Wonder Woman being part of the Republican Party. No, the rap music industry part of the Republican Party. Letting us hear this ignorant ass shit. The more ignorant it is, the more it's getting airtime. Pedro said this back in the day. We weren't bred to be that ignorant. This music is making me ignorant. It had me thinking that there's not a person with over a 3rd grade education living in Atlanta. That's what some of the rap industry make me think. Like, hey man, is anybody got over a 3rd grade, 5th grade education in Atlanta? Put it like this, man. There's still Negroes with higher education, and it seems like half the ones rapping out there. We can go back to any plantation back in the early 1700s, and we can find field Negroes who have never seen the inside of a house, who have a higher education than half these fools in the rap game in Atlanta. I listened to Playboy Cardi music, and it made me ashamed to be black.
No, I was saying I have a good friend. Atlanta is starting to wear on him. Mm-hmm. He likes the black culture and everything in the South. And I seen he was talking to me about, man, I'm still thinking about moving back out that way since my kids are grown now. I'm like, man, you afraid? I enjoy black. I guess Black Hollywood is a great place to visit, not a great place to live. I think the city I was most comfortable with. Now, I only been in Dallas for a year, so I did enjoy Dallas. I think the city I was most comfortable in is Las Vegas.
Las Vegas ain't got that many black people. How are you comfortable with that?
Well, now they do, because all it is Lancaster East.
East Palm. It's East Palmdale East.
East Palmdale East.
That's the problem. I need it to be Lancaster. It's East Palmdale East. Don't tell me, go out there, Afro man.
When I went to Atlanta and visit, it's just I see the heavy culture. I can see where it can get out of control. Mm-hmm. But what the parts I visit was I guess West Atlanta, a lot of trees. You got beautiful soul food restaurant. We've seen a lot of professional black people on that side. I don't know the demographics, but
I heard Atlanta. I heard this about Atlanta.
The limits of Southernness and its proximity to black cultural experience, rather than considering the South's relationship to the future as oxymoronic. Outcast fuses possibilities of the future together, like grits and eggs, collard greens and fatback, Martin Luther King and the mountain top.
You know what's sad? You know what's sad about that, Jerry? That fool just did a bad job. Like, I feel like Eugene Levy, when he was in Bringing Down the House, was way better than this one. Like, he was more real. Like, he sounded like someone like Eugene Levy made you think, like, was he hanging around black people before this role to say that? You know, when he was hitting on Queen Latifah that whole movie, this fool sounded like Chet Hanks. See, there's a cutoff.
Who was the dude in Malibu's Most Wanted? Jamie
Kennedy.
Jamie Kennedy. They could have had him read it in that Malibu's Most Wanted.
Would have been better than this. See, Gene Levy didn't fake no accent. He just came with the words in his Canadian Jewish tone,
like fatbacks.
This dude, I don't know what he was thinking.
What it was beautiful. I don't know what you guys are talking about. great read. Great. He used a great black accent. That's an American black accent. You can't blackface that. That's how we sound. Exactly how I talk every day.
All right. Well, y'all ready to start the show?
Yeah.
All right.
Started.
All right. Well,
start, Jared, because I ain't giving you all day. I'm walking my dog before it get too dark.
All right. Well, Aaron, I need a letter.
In honor of Hope Solo, let's go with L for low. The tightest name in sports. Hope Solo's a tight ass name.
It is.
It is.
You can't say other things that are tight about her.
Especially looking at that iCloud link. You're right. Look a little hamburger meatish. Actually liked it though. I like hamburger meat.
Oh shit. All right. Well,
it didn't scare me away, Hope.
Oh no, they'll never scare. No, you ain't gonna scare nothing. You ain't gonna scare me away with it. No, either. I'm just saying.
I'm running over there faster than an Atlanta rapper.
Linguinis.
You need to stay away from Leon Isaac Kennedy.
Yeah. Loose labias. Shit. Litigious. Languishing. Lavishly. What? Who is it? The Leverts. Which one was the best Levert?
Karis Levert.
Gerald Levert, dude.
Karis Levert be cooling.
The best Levert was Gerald, then followed by his dad, Eddie.
Leon Spinks. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the High Score 510 podcast. I am tired today, but it's all good because it's 2020, and we are going to start this year off with some fun.
2021, dude.
It is 2021, and we're going to start this year off with some fun. 2020 is in the rear view, but it's still holding on tight. Y'all heard Larry King. Larry King is in the hospital, also with COVID at 87. I thought he was like 95 or something like that, but
yeah, he only 87. He must have made a deal with the devil and lost about 7 years off his age.
And he looked like he was 87 in 94, bro.
Pretty much. Now you also have another L, Lewis Gossip Jr.
Oh,
he's got COVID. So
shit, not my boy Lou Gossett Jr.
Lou Gossett,
man, he played Sam Cassell better than anybody else in Enemy Mine. He was tight in that movie.
Did I send y'all the All Alien Team? I'm pretty sure y'all seen that meme.
I saw that. I did see that. Yeah, they had was Tyrone Hill on there.
Popeye Jones in the middle.
Popeye Jones. Yeah.
Did it have was the six man? Was it just NBA or WNBA too?
It's just NBA.
Oh, because
I've seen Rebecca Lobo in Men in Black. So
yeah, I would have probably put her on it along, and probably had coming off the bench Brittany Griner, especially since she could beat.
Wait, hold on now. Come on now. You know Brittany Griner don't look that. Hey, y'all be saying that. Look, if Brittany Griner wanted to be straight, I would go pick her up. She's down the street.
She gonna top you, no man, regardless if she's straight or.
Oh man, Brittany Griner's a normal.
It's Skylar Diggins without makeup.
Come on, man. Well, you can catch us at High Score 510 on the Instagram, the YouTube, and the .com, and eventually the Twitter soon enough. But aside from that, we are here with.
This is Eric Grayson, also known as AG3, coming at you faster than brothers driving to the AT&T store after they Google Lily from all those AT&T commercials.
Oh, sure. It starts with buses. But next, they will want to integrate schools and restaurants. And before you know, some nigga will want to integrate the sweet pink nether regions of your white wife, or your white daughter, or your dear sweet white grandmother.
Google her, and you will see what I'm talking about.
Oh, shit. And we are here with...
Well, it's everybody's lonely captain, Captain P Funk, coming at you like West Virginia women. Inside joke. I probably shouldn't have said that.
Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is. I don't believe you people. Huh? What do you mean, you people?
All right. And my name is Jarrett, a.k.a. DJartt, with two T's for a double dose of that ting ting. The D is silent, so it's just Jartt.
Well, come on, Sammy. You bad. Shoot me. Man, would you shut up, man?
That's something I didn't tell you.
What? I got to paint a target on my ass?
Yeah, man. How's everybody doing today?
Yeah,
chilling, man.
I actually feel pretty good, Jarrett, because I was leading y'all to victory all last night. Feel good about leaving my black brethren into victory. I need to shout out to Ian, shout out to Paul. I need to lead y'all to some victories. Come on,
you can help. Yeah, you can help the Irish, win their liberation from the British. You know what I'm saying?
That means it's you, and all the other 3 Irish, and not Sam.
Shout out to Sham sponsorship.
Yeah, Sam's a colonizer force. You gotta be careful. Anyways, well, I guess I want to start the show out today with some big news talk. Not really big news, but we haven't met for a couple weeks. We took last week off for the holiday and New Year's to kind of just take it easy. But in that time, after we did our 2020 recap episode, which was pretty fun, our 2020 the good, the bad, and the what the fuck, or the WTF episode, some things have happened, some things have transpired, one of which is Wonder Woman 1984 came out, and it came out to much praise, as Aaron said, and much hoopla on HBO Max. After a day or two of it being out, though, it seemed to die down quite quickly. Did anybody see this? Did anybody watch the movie?
Yeah.
And so, Aaron, in your judgment of the movie or your appraisal of it, would you say that it lived up to the hype, or was it a disappointment?
It had a lot of hype around it. I would say it lived up to the hype as far as just going straight to where people could watch it at the house. I was excited about that. There were some things in the movie I was not excited about, or even just thinking about after the movie. You look, I watched Tenet without going to the movie, and you saw my excitement for that, Jarrett, and then I didn't have the same excitement for Wonder Woman after watching it. And here's the thing, I felt like I'm more positive for it than most people I know, even though it had some glaring awfulness about it. I feel like I'm more positive about it than anyone else.
Yeah, Pedro, did you see it?
Of course I didn't.
I don't understand why you didn't watch it. You like comic book movies.
Hey,
You've been at home.
No, I don't. I do not like comic book. I don't like. This is something you brought up, Aaron. Overpowered superheroes.
Yes,
Never
I
makes
agree
any
with you.
sense on film. If you do it on CGI or cartoon or whatever other platform other than live action, it doesn't work anymore. It used to work in the 80s, Jarrett. Now, because we were so fascinated by because the steps would be harder to making a superhero film, and they would actually use real props and everything. So it made you feel like, oh wow, this guy's a superhero. He lifted up a whole building, and they had to somehow make.
They didn't have to CGI it. They didn't.
So you would think it's like totally cool. You would want to see that. Now with CGI and everything, ruined, video games also dilute. There's nowhere to go. It's just like they dominate everything, so it's not fun. And then sometimes it's overdone, even with the villains. The villains they fight are overpowerful, or overbearing. So it takes all the fun out of everything.
Yeah, it takes out the puzzle pieces of how the layers of how things are going to happen, or the adjustments each might make. I get that. I watched it, and it had me going. I have to say, I was like, okay, the opening scene, the little mini Wonder Woman was out there running.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alerts. She's out. If you haven't watched it yet,
skip forward to this, and Jerry put it in later.
You might not want to see. But anyways, she's over there running. She's doing all the jumping and stuff, and I was like, you know what? It's believable. She's a little girl. She's the queen's daughter or whatever. She's got extra powers. She's Wonder Woman.
That shit was not believable, dude.
Regardless,
don't ruin the movie.
The scene was kind of cool.
Can I say something about that before you go into this?
Yeah.
Just for that one scene, Jared.
Mm-hmm.
Remember her mom in the first movie didn't want her training at that age. The same actress, but she was that age. Remember, the mom was like, she does not train. She needs to be in school. She needs to be that. She isn't training. But yet somehow the mom's allowed for her to take place in this Amazonian Olympics.
Mhm.
Like, what the hell? Like, I'm sitting there like, didn't the mom just say she can't train and she's going against all these women that train for this Olympic thing? So obviously, like, it was a little bit of hypocritical right there of the movie that came out before it.
Fair enough. But I'm just thinking for just seeing it is like the cinematic, the visuals, it was kind of cool. It's like, oh, it's one of those things where it's kind of like Hunger Games or some kind of, offshoot world where there's some kind of competition going on and you're trying to see how do they create the challenges for these people that will makes them special? What are these challenges that they're doing that makes them a special race of people, right? And so I appreciated that. I was like, oh, it's cool. All right, they're doing this race. They got horses and cool. So the story evolves and she gets the moral of the moral of the story is given at the beginning of the movie. After that's at the end of that scene. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Regardless of which, we'll get to it later. But then it fast forwards and it's her after Chris Pine has died. She's in 1984. You know what I'm saying? You see in the background one of the extras is burning their son on his shoulders with a cigarette. Benson Hedges in the background walking through the mall. But it evolved into kind of like it was. They went into Stranger Things where she's all of a sudden in a mall. They find this crystal thing, and the crystal thing goes to the museum where she's working. And the crystal thing, all of a sudden, you can make wishes on the crystal thing. And I was like, cool, whatever. We'll see where this goes, right? Kristen Wiig's in it. She plays a bumbling, not popular person nobody pays attention to, who seems not really desperate for attention, but just would like some acknowledgement, but is dealing with it fine. And then you got the guy who plays the Mandalorian, who's a nondescript, generic ass white dude who's playing some hustle man, right?
He's Chilean.
That is not Chilean. That dude is not Chilean.
He's Chilean in real life. He's Chilean, dude.
Chileans and Argentinians and Uruguayans are all conspiracy brother will tell you that's where all the Nazis moved to after the World War.
He is not a Nazi looking dude. The dude looked like Danny Delgado, dude.
Del Blanco? Well, my thing is, first thing maybe he all of a sudden had this little Asian, little Hopper looking kid, and
he did not look Hopper. He just looked Asian.
He was like a little Asian boy.
Yeah. See, I'm gonna save that for your question that's coming later on.
Okay. So, anyways. I'm getting off course, you know what I'm saying? I'm a little bit flustered right now because I'm already I'm trying to go through the process of where it kind of I was on board with it. I was riding the train. I was like, let's see where this goes. Let's figure out who is the main antagonist of our protagonist. What is going to be the challenge that she's set up with, right? Then all of a sudden the wishing stone, is like the main thing that is the source of the power of the main antagonist. I was like, okay, cool. This wishing stone is going to create some kind of thing that's going to change everything, right? Motherfucker turns himself into goddamn wishing stone. I wish to be the wishing stone. And I said, okay, I'm gonna still go with this. Let's just see what happens. Spoiler alert. Let's see what happens. Maybe he turns into some kind of creature. Maybe he has some crazy powers. Nope. All he did was say, tell me, don't you wish you had that? And a gust of wind would happen when they wished it. And then all of a sudden he's like, I'm gonna take this, that, and the other. And then it would just happen. I guess it just happened because he would walk away and go to somebody else and they wouldn't show any of the consequences of the people that had just given their wish. There's no consequences other than the fact that the world just went into more and more chaos without showing how it was going into chaos, without showing any of the mechanisms of how the chaos was occurring. All of a sudden he's at the president being like, what's up, nondescript white dude president that ain't look like nothing of the president from 1984? What do you really want? The Soviets are preparing to bomb. And he's like, whatever you want, just make a wish. And then all of a sudden, everything starts going crazy. And then on a crazy flip of a dime, the motherfucking thing turned into Cats, 1984. This bitch was gonna turn herself into Idris Elba's mate from Cats. I said, where's Jason Derulo to do the pelvic thrusters thing? Didn't make no goddamn sense. It turned into Cats. She had a wingsuit on made of gold. And then she uses her ropey thing, lasso, to lasso dude. Dude also realizes he wanted to just be a good father.
That nigga tried to kill my father!
And the world was just crumbling. All the nukes is being shot. All of a sudden, he run home, pick up his son in the middle of DC, which is about to be exploded.
In the middle of nowhere.
Is good.
He found his kid in the. All right, Jared, there's another loophole you left out. The fact that, look, when one person made a wish and got a whole river that was going through Egypt. Is that famous Cairo? Isn't that what it's called?
Was it a river or was it a wall?
The Nile. That was the Nile. It came up on the river. It came up. So a wish created this wall bigger than the Great Wall of China, bigger than the wall that basically that's what Donald Trump would have wanted, that wall, right? A wish made that wall. Yet when Wonder Woman wished to get Steve Trevor back, he had to take over the body of some goddamn guy, some goddamn business guy. And it's like, wait, hold on. You can make a wall out of nowhere. You can make all this other shit, nuclear weapons out of nowhere. This motherfucker did this out of nowhere. But you
turned Kristen Wiig into a character from a musical that has won plenty of Tonys.
A musical that just came out and ain't even became a movie yet. You turned Kristen Wiig into that. How in the hell did you can only get this fool into someone else's body? And she's fine with this? All I see is you.
All I see is you. The dick ain't the same, but all I see is you.
All I see is you. You know what? I ain't had dick since World War I. So I mean, hey, I'll take it.
Hey, remember the wingsuit she wore, right? And they're like the woman Astrid or whatever.
Indestructible. Fought all these people off, and it never got damaged.
And then all of a sudden, Cheetah, the Cheetah character,
is just scratching at it.
It's just ripping off all parts of it. I'm like, hold up, bro. Hold up.
I didn't understand that either.
This thing survived thousands of years.
All these people fighting her. She just covered up and it survived. And yet somehow it got ripped apart. The part that really got me, spoiler alert right here. The part that really got me, Jared, is they go to a Smithsonian museum of an airport museum, right? I've been to the airport museum in Seattle. Guess what? Guess what you can't do? You can't fly into those planes. Not for lack of trying. You can't fly because they do not work. But somehow
they take out the spark plugs, motherfucker.
Exactly.
There's no fuel. Man, we just gonna leave some fuel in here just in case.
How the hell that plane had enough fuel to go to
the whole motor in the museum?
Exactly. Somehow they in a plane, Pedro. It's 1984. They in a F4 Phantom. You know me, Jared. I know my planes. They in an F4 Phantom, which was last flown during the Vietnam War. Right, the two-seater, the one that had the two-seaters next to each other. They in that plane, F4 Phantom, Vietnam War. Somehow it had enough. Not only could they take off in it, Pedro, it had enough fuel to get their asses to Cairo.
Yeah, they got all the way. They got across the Atlantic. He's like, you know how many Michael B. Jordans got thrown over the ship on that trip?
Exactly. So
that's a long distance.
They had, whatever museum that is needs to close down because they keeping jet fuel in planes in the museum.
Man, dude, seriously, man, that's like, that's a Beirut explosion waiting to happen. I ain't trying to make a joke of it, but like literally, like you leaving all this combustible fuel in all these different planes that random civilians can come around, smoke a cigarette around, and blow that shit up.
And here's my. Hey, don't forget, it was 1984. You can smoke inside the museums.
Hold on, Aaron. But don't forget also. Don't forget also though, Aaron. The other thing is he was flying propeller planes back in the day. He all of a sudden is like, I think I can figure this out. Yeah. Button. I was like, nigga, you didn't have a switchboard that had different lights. All of a sudden, he got
There's no electricity on your plane. There was no electricity on the last plane you flew. There was no electricity. How the fuck you flying a jet plane?
He went from a crop duster.
It was all chokes. That's what I'm saying.
That shit was ridiculous, dude. That shit. And I was trying to give. I was like, you know what? So Sam brought up this interesting point, Jared. He said. Because I was bitching about the special effects, like whenever she was running and shit. And, and Sam said he think that this was interesting. I did like this. He said he think they did it on purpose to like kind of show the special effects back in the 80s, the mid 80s, right? Mm-hmm. That's how special effects were. They look kind of cheesy and bad. So he think they did that on purpose. And I thought, okay. So I was trying to give the movie with that note in mind, keep that in mind, like maybe just random shit just happened. You know, it's 1984, but I was like thinking about movies that came out in 84, War Game, shit like that. Back to the Future came out. And I'm like, nah, they still was a little more realistic than this.
Mm. Yeah.
Even Alien Nation was more realistic than this.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It had me for like the first 35, 40 minutes. I like Kristen Wiig's character. She was my favorite part of the movie. Yeah, she added a layer to the movie that otherwise wouldn't existed. But then they simplified her to the point where, and this is going to lead to our question of the day. But overall, I had to give Wonder Woman 1984 one bright. Only reason why it's one bright is because I didn't pay for it. And it was entertaining enough for me to sit through it all the way through.
Yeah, it was entertaining. I will say that.
It wasn't entertaining enough.
It wasn't like,
good.
It wasn't like the Harley Quinn Birds of Prey. That shit, I couldn't make it through it. Or Suicide Squad, where I fought to make it through. I had to continue the second half a whole.
Or the last Transformer movie. It sounded like
I didn't make it through part. I couldn't make it through that.
You know, the problem, here, I'm gonna tell you what the secret ingredient, the problem with the Transformer movies, what they fucked up there, is that they didn't have Tyrese playing the same character he does in all the Fast and Furious movies. If Tyrese hadn't tried to be such a serious commando in those movies and he just played Roman Pierce in those movies would have been funny. If they had Roman Pierce in the Transformers movies being like, and then like trying to drive the cars and like get freaking out when they wouldn't drive and do what he wanted.
And then he tried to read Cybertronium.
Yep, that would have been tight.
It says, smack, smoke, beer, Zach.
That would have been perfect if they had time. You're right. They should have used the same character.
Alien infidel. ¿Qué pasa, Horta? Hey, man, I clean your windshield for you. What are you doing, man? Uno, tres, cuatro, fonto, taco. Everything copacetic, homie. Me gusta chocha.
You know what the problem is live action movies. Live action movies, we want it to be somewhat realistic. That's the whole point. Like Pedro said best, you know how excited we were when Transformers became a live action movie? I saw it already twice and went to go see it again with Pedro that summer in Arizona. And we were just excited to finally get this in live action. So the thing about live action, we want it to be as realistic as you can make it. Of course, it's a superhero movie. They're going to have powers. They're going to have this. But don't do stupid shit like having someone that's never seen a jet plane before, all of a sudden fly one.
Yeah.
Don't have someone that's fascinated about the fanny pack, all of a sudden fly one.
Yeah, Wonder Woman 1984, it just became more and more implausible. And unless you're just okay with and I guess it's a superhero movie, so like, should we really expect plausibility? But I think that's what makes those movies more believable and more enjoyable, is that there's plausibility built within this mythical and made up world that obviously is implausible, right? Mm-hmm. How do you blend suspense with the improbable and the not attainable with attainable concepts and themes and acts that make it seem like, oh man, like I'm in a world where this is not too far away from the real world? And I was kind of digging the villain not being an overpowering villain, but then there was no the recourse was the world's gonna end because everyone's gonna nuke each other. And I was like, that's like, I get it, it's Cold War era.
That was a true fear of that time, though, Jared.
It was, but they didn't do a good job of, like, especially like if like the people that you're trying to get younger people to watch this movie, a lot of them weren't alive in '84. A lot of them didn't understand what the Cold War.
You can't just talk about it.
Yeah, you can't be like, everyone was worried about nukes. You know, people ain't tripping about nukes the way they were 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. Like, now you're going to be like, oh, just hype up on the field. No, times have changed. People have changed. Their concerns and the way they see those old concerns have also changed. The way that white people were afraid of their beautiful white daughters marrying a Negro and getting that BBC and having a mixed kid was a real concern back in the day, like in the 50s, 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s, right? Mm-hmm. That changed as the 70s, 80s, and 90s came along. All I'm saying is that if you want to keep the relative understanding of the way people are going to interpret the chaos of the time, you got to be able to actually tie it in with tangible things. And they didn't really tie it in with tangible things. All they did was have this dude say, wish it was true, a gust of wind, and then something would happen, and then more chaos would ensue. And the next person you go to, just things would get more crazy. He had more people at his office, more papers would be flying all over the place, and people would just be like running around like chickens with their head cut off. Yeah, just throw more extras in there. Just throw more extras into the office space, and then that'll tell how crazy the world's getting. That's all they did. Throw more extras in there. Now have people run around the street, have one black cop being like, we don't know what to do on a radio in the middle of the street. They fell apart. They didn't make it believable. They didn't tie themes in that made it real in the moment to the people who were watching it. It just got more and more comedically bad. But that leads me to my question about DC Comics, because we've seen a string of DC comic movies in recent years that have been doo-doo butter. And it got me thinking, because of the way they portray characters and their depth, or their their motivations, and like Pedro, you're saying they're overpowered, or they're just like perfect this way, or they're overpowered that way. My question of the day is DC Comics and their movie universe, are they the Republican Party of the comic universe? Are they the Republican/conservative party of the comic cinematic universe?
I'm gonna start off with a no, Jared. A hard no, not even close. That was the most liberal bullshit movie. And let me put out this disclaimer first. I am a Democrat, right? I am a born and raised Democrat, and also, you know, very open-minded, very tolerant of everyone, others, and everybody being themselves. That was the most liberal bullshit I've ever seen in a movie. The last two Wonder Womans was the most, and that one was over the top liberal, dude. There were more rainbows. Did you see people like wearing rainbow colors? That was like a theme of hers. And Patty, so did you know she actually director and producer of the movie? What's her name? Patty Davis, whatever her name is, Patty Jenkins, whatever. She wanted the movie. The movie was supposed to come out during Pride Month, right? And so that's why all the artwork had basically the rainbow, like the one where she's sitting there in that gold thing on the poster and it's the rainbow colors behind her. It was all had to do with pride. I'm gonna go with the hard no, because everything was around liberal. Like there were so many people. There were people wearing like rainbow color stuff. One person had a rainbow fanny pack, and I'm like, look, dude, this was the 80s. Nobody had no rainbow shit. Maybe in San Francisco, they certainly did not have it anywhere else, right? If anything, it was still, people were still using the F word. and I don't mean the 4-letter one, right? And it was like acceptable, right? So I was like, this movie is really pushing like some really tolerant things that didn't really take place in the 80s. And and then that really didn't take place in the 80s. There are a lot of more like tolerant things now. Right, the only thing was missing was Steve Trevor's body hopping into a black guy. Right, that was the only thing missing. I was waiting for that. Like, I mean, the fact that they gave the dude Pedro Pascal, who is cute Chilean, gave him an Asian kid. I was like, I mean, he didn't look hot, but that kid looked straight Asian. I was like, wow, this is. Like, how did he have a full Asian kid? They didn't say nothing about adoption, nothing of that. It was just, he had a full. I was like, man, I'm surprised. If they would have given 3 kids, one would have been Asian, one would have been African, and the other would have been probably 5 Angelina Jolie kids.
I'm gonna say this. The reason why I say Republican Party is because not because of the imagery they were trying to portray, but because of the simplicity and the old versions of the motivations of characters and the layers and the nuance of the characters is just very much in many ways black and white. And so for me, like, you know, you look at a Marvel characters and you see like these layers, you see these underlying themes of like or influences or flashbacks of what caused them to be a certain way or feel a certain way, or these variances like with you know, saying where you can't really tell whether the villain is really the bad one here or is the person who's fighting to maintain the status quo, are they wrong in this way, you know? Versus in most of these DC movies is very black and white. It's like the good guy and the bad guy. The good guy is good because they're good. Why are they good? What makes them good? Well, they're good because they're good. They're born that way. The bad person is bad because they either just want too much power or they're bad. You know, and Kristen Wiig's character, they could have really layered like how she transformed into becoming somebody who turned dark like that. They didn't. It went from her just wishing, and then you saw her kind of transition. And she's like, she realized she had all this power, and then all of a sudden it's just like, I ain't giving this shit up. I'm ready to beat some ass. And you know what? I don't even have to show you how I trained. I just lifted some weights one time in the gym and made all those dudes in fanny packs lose their mind. You know what I'm saying? And so,
which, man, I repeat, fanny packs. I just looked it up. They're straight late 80s, early 90s.
Okay. Yeah. Anyways, all I'm gonna say is like the reason why I say it is because I like DC Comics adds no nuance, as no there's very little variance and there's very little room for flavor in their characters, and that's why I think it is like the representation of kind of like Republican or conservative party in that like they're still arguing like. We want to maintain the status quo of what is. These are understandings of how men behave. These are understandings of how women behave. These are understandings of how gays behave. These are understandings of how people behave. These are understandings of how the world works. All right. And we're not going to add layers to it. We're not going to explore those layers within their characters either. We're not going to write a movie that allows these characters to evolve or develop or grow in a way that's going to like actually make sense. It's just going to be good or bad, black or white, poor or rich, you know what I'm saying? And that's why I asked the question, like the way they write their movies, the way they construct their characters in these movies, it seems very much kind of like the Republican model of how we want to understand our world or place upon labels in our world versus Marvel movies typically have more layers, have more things that end up coming up and popping up later on in the movie. You're like, oh shit, That's a difference maker. Oh shit, that could change the way this character decides to play out the rest of this movie with this squad. Like the reason why you had the fucking Civil War movie. The motherfuckers had layers upon layers of why they were trying to fight for a certain thing, and they end up fighting each other, even though they're all the good guys, right? So, and that allows for you to have like, you know what I'm saying, Ilhan Omar and the AOCs and the Fab Five or whatever they call them in the Democratic Party, you know, trying to uproot the motherfuckers, the Nancy Pelosi's and the Chuck Schumers in the Democratic Party who what's going on there. There's infighting in the Democratic Party for to push the narrative versus what the status quo is and what the Republicans and the corporate Dems want to just maintain as status quo. So that's why I see it that way.
I think you creating a connection in your mind, Jared, that you really want to create, because I think if you want to look at stuff so black and white and think that all Republicans or the Republican Party think that way, you could connect it, but at the same time, I mean, there's leftists. But
what do the Republicans do? What do the Republicans do? What are they best at? They fall in line, Aaron.
All right, look, what Jared is getting at is, see, this what they did this purposely. They're doing this purposely in Hollywood. Get this conspiracy music ready. What you're getting at is just saying, even though that DC characters or whatever fall in line with the powers that they had or they have been, but you notice that what we're doing with every movie now is being political. You know, they started that by putting Tyler Perry in a dress. That's where it began. They try to put Tyler Perry in the dress. That way they can start bringing up their liberal agenda.
Why? So I can fall in love with some cute black man that teaches white people everything they know about the shrimp industry before they kill him 30 minutes into the movie? Huh? Hey, why don't you walk down that tunnel, black man? Hey, black man, turn on the generator. This dinosaur's out there. Hey, black man, look out. He's got a gun.
That's my favorite one.
Turn on
the generator.
But what they're doing, we talked about this a million times, and I'm getting sick of it. Get politics out of the movies.
Basketball news: the Warriors are 2-3. They've won their games by a combined margin of 11 points, but have lost their 3 games by an average of 30 points. What is the one thing that is keeping the Warriors from being a title contender?
What is the one thing?
There's not just one thing.
I need one thing.
I can tell you
what the glaring need.
The glaring need is for some NBA Live, not even 2K, some NBA Live rules. So you could just trade without a trade deadline or anything. Like I'm talking about NBA Live, like back in the 90s.
You can force a trade?
98. You can force a trade through. That's what they need. They need to be able to force, and salary cap didn't matter. When you know how it was back then when you play somebody, one of your friends' team, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, hold on, dude. How the hell the Sacramento Kings get Shaq? Right? Like you I was like, man, I was trying to be even. You was the Kings. I went ahead and picked, I went ahead and picked Milwaukee from back then, and you got Shaq. Right? like the next thing you know, they got Shaq on their team, and then they shooting guard back in '97 was Jordan. And you're like, wait, what the hell? How you get Shaq and Jordan? That's the only way. I mean, I predicted the Warriors to be a playoff team this year. I also said I want to see Steph Curry drag this team. If he, Jared, you told me on this show, Jared, you told me Steph Curry could be as good as Magic Johnson. You said he could before it's all said and done, he has a chance to be the greatest point guard in the game. You basically told me.
When did I say that?
Michael Jackson.
You
Magic Johnson level.
You
check them books. Check them books.
I never said nothing like that. Number one. Number two.
You said maybe. You said maybe.
I said he might have a chance to be a top 5 point guard all time and potentially the greatest, but he's not a pure point guard. But I don't never say you get a chance to be Magic Johnson. You didn't take Magic Johnson's name out your mouth.
My thing is, if that's the case, he has to be able to drag this shitty ass team to the playoffs.
No, I agree. I do agree. And I've been seeing a lot of flack of people on Twitter talking shit because people were like, talking shit about LeBron and how Steph Curry is as good as any other player in the league and yada yada. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. But Pedro, what is the one thing the Warriors need to become a playoff or title contender again?
Giannis and Antetokounmpo.
Tubatopo?
Are you talking about Tuiasosopo?
Because
he might make more threes than Kelly Oubre right now.
This magic moment.
You need Giannis to throw the ball for the Golden State Warriors to get in and slam dunk the ball and throw the ball.
Yeah.
So Giannis and Antetokounmpo need to be on the Warriors for y'all to make the playoff. So man, look here, dude. They need to make a lot of trades. They need to make a blockbuster trade before they can even think about the playoffs. I was under the assumption like, okay, you guys should be okay with Oubre and Draymond Green. Yes. I didn't know Draymond Green was as hurt as he was. He seemed like he's been off for a long time.
Yeah,
he's back. He's back.
Yeah, I know he's back.
Aaron thinks he's washed. You know, I think
he's starting to look washed. This is starting to scare me.
He looked washed last year. I mean, he didn't look washed. Let me take that back. Not totally washed, but he looked like. Remember, I said he's lost a step, and I said that last year, and everyone tried to say it was injuries to everyone else, and he didn't want to play. And I said, I can tell he looks like he's lost a step. He's lost some athletic ability, and and his game needed that.
Well, we had brought that up last year a little bit about his style of play as being playing undersized center. It's kind of like a running back, taking a lot of reps. Somebody who's undersized playing against bigger bodies, like you take a beating and it works out for a while. Like T-Mac going at the rim hard for all those years. Eventually, your body can potentially start to break down and your body doesn't react the same way. Your body doesn't have the same burst and explosion. There is something to be said for that. Draymond has banged and been the heart and soul of that, defensive side of the ball for the Warriors, and has been their defensive stopper / the guy who rim checks stuff. So going up against bigger bodies, going up against everybody's body at the rim, that could take time and years off your career if your body just is not built for that, or everyone has a different way that they slowly start to regress and break down. So it could be that, and I haven't seen enough of Draymond because he only played one game so far, but that could be the case. That could be the case. It could also be the case of the Warriors have no talent around other than Steph and Draymond Green.
Yeah, you can see his build. Draymond Green ain't an Adonis out there. He's not like cut up enough. He just looks like he has to totally change his body type and everything and stay up. Because he wasn't an offensive player. He was there to bang, like you said, bang with the bigger guys and be a little quicker than him. And with all his foot injuries, looks like he's lost a couple of steps. All the foot and his lower body extremities, he looks like he's lost a couple of steps. People are beating him off the dribble and things. So it's not the same as when he was all over the place, young, energetic, hands on balls. Coming over the top and playing off the ball. He was great at those things and also playing lanes. And just with this footwork, it looks like he can't step in those lanes and create the big defensive plays like he did in times past. So,
yeah.
I tell you this, who needs a little bit more shoulder this blame is Steve Kerr. Because there is some talent on that team. And the problem is they don't fit into his system that he got in with the Warriors, that you could say he instituted with the Warriors. They don't fit. You can't turn Oubre and Wiggins into Klay Thompson and Harrison Barnes, right?
Yeah.
Because another problem is they don't have a passing big man. The one thing I would give credit for, especially now that I can look back on the last Warriors 5-year run,
they had Bogut and Lee.
Bogut, Lee, and Draymond. You had the three of some. I mean, they're not like on Jokic level of passing, but they are right under it, right?
Yeah, that's why I wanted. It would have been tight to have a Marc Gasol, who is a above average big man passer and can fill space with his body's type. And at this age in his career, he's not going to be asked to do as much as he's been asked to do. But he can still set a screen and he can still, create that little mismatch where if you roll off of him and run around the top of him, he can find a bounce pass or a little dish of somebody. He has the instincts for it.
Yes, and They don't have that right now, and he's playing Kelly Oubre. Kelly Oubre do not need to be playing in a Klay Thompson role. No. Kelly Oubre needs to be more of a slasher. He needs to be more of a different role. The problem is I don't think Steve Kerr's not making adjustments.
Oubre should be an Iguodala role with maybe a slightly better offensive game, but Iguodala was a better passer and a better playmaker. So yeah, that's the issue. I think that one thing they do need is they need that white Chilean dude that you was talking about from Wonder Woman 1984 to come grant them some
Pascal,
rewind the clock, rewind that motherfucking clock to 2016 and 17, so they can have the same squad they had those years where they had legit pro talent on that roster. They have not legit pro talent on that roster, or they need to ask a wish to bring back Jerry West, who can build a roster. Because I'm telling you, the current GM Bob Myers was vastly helped by Jerry West's talent evaluation. Or they need to get that Chilean white dude to give one more wish and bring back Kobe Bryant courtside too, where you could develop a player who was 7'10" and had ball handling skills of Giannis Antetokounmpo and could block every shot and shoot threes. That's what you need, aka Kevin Durant.
That's not his last name. His last name is Antetokounmpo.
Anna Menudo.
Every time I try to say his last name, I just go back to the days where I used to pray in tongues.
Come on, man.
But yeah, I agree. I agree though with y'all. Like the Warriors are at a point where they're averaging their average loss have been 30 points. Their average wins have been 5, right, or something like that. They won by 1 point and 10 points. So there's a discrepancy. Like when they win, they're barely winning and they're beating bad teams, and then they're losing badly to teams that are, pretty good or good, but they're not even close. And the issue is I watched the game the other night against Portland, and the talent I saw in the squad, I was like, this is not near the type of talent that they had in the last 6-7 years. It's not close. You have Wanamaker, Pascal. I like he could develop into a decent role. You have this guy Wanamaker. You have Damian Lee. You have guys that would be your Quinn Cooks that get to come in when everyone's resting in the fourth quarter because everyone's been balling, playing meaningful minutes now. This is not a recipe for success. And Steve Kerr, as a coach, needs I think the Warriors' current roster will be better if they had Mark Jackson back. I'm gonna put that out there. If Mark Jackson was their coach right now, they would be outperforming what they're doing right now.
100% agree.
Because Mark Jackson would just say, "Hey, we're gonna curtail this offense to be whatever our strength of offense is. We're gonna run that over and over and over and over again.
Yes. We're gonna be setting on-ball picks for Curry. We're gonna be setting isolation for Curry. We're gonna try to catch Oubre cutting. We're gonna set up in position where Oubre could cut to the basket if Curry comes off a block and they don't switch well. We're gonna have Wiggins cutting to the basket, and guess what? He's gonna try to establish a defensive identity, right? Yeah. And I think Kerr gotten by. Look, I'll give Kerr for every credit he deserves. He kept the team loose. He won. This is where I told you guys, and I said this is why I was so mad at the Kevin Durant thing. It had nothing to do. Everyone thought, "Oh, you mad because the Warriors win titles." I didn't care if the Warriors won titles. I had no problem with that. My problem was he upset a balance and he created a fake narrative. He messed up the narrative. We didn't have any idea what the narrative is. So now Kerr gets all this credit like he's like the third best coach of all time. And, next thing you know, we acting like he's the next Pat Riley or the dude there in Boston smoking a cigar at the game, and that we didn't see we could do. And then we pushed Mark Jackson down to commentating on NBC saying, "Mama, there go that man," and not what he did for the Warriors. He doesn't get any credit for what he did for the Warriors, and we give Kerr all this credit. Mark Jackson established that defensive identity. He established that with Draymond Green. He established that with Klay Thompson. He was the one that pumped their heads and had them plan D, had everyone in that team plan D. In that 1 year with Iguodala playing D. He was the one. That was his thing. And now we sitting here, and this team is one of the worst defensive teams of all time in the NBA. That's the craziest thing. I saw some stat, and I'm like, this is the worst. The last 2 years, this Warrior team has been the worst defensive team.
The trip thing is about that. They still got Mike Brown over there.
Mike Brown is weak as hell.
But no, I'm saying he had always had strong defensive teams. That's what he's there for.
Yeah.
To teach people how to, that's what my.
But when you have Andrew Wiggins, Andrew Wiggins is a negative rating on the defensive end. I thought Andrew
Wiseman,
Wiggins. Yeah. Well, Wiseman could be a defensive impact player, but he's young and raw. It's just you have Steph, who, like, if we want to find out how good Steph is, you want to know how good and where he ends up in the all times list. Forget the titles right now. Steph's not playing for the title. He's playing for his legacy as an impact player. What can Steph do? He's been a subpar defensive player. You know, he gets steals because he gets to play passing lanes because he's always playing off the ball because they always had Klay as his buffer to be able to play off the ball. Klay would always be on the main ball handler or the main scorer of the guards. I think we're going to get to the point where we're going to say chicken or the egg. Who made who better? Was Steph make Klay better, or did Klay make Steph better? Who allowed who to thrive more? And maybe it could be a perfect balance. The two of them just matched so well together. I'm not saying that one had to make the other better, but if you're looking at it from the last 2 years, like if the Warriors lose Steph Curry last year instead of Klay Thompson, does that team do as bad as they did? If the Warriors had Klay Thompson this year and not Steph Curry, would they be playing as bad as they are? Cutty Corner shoutouts. Cutty Corner shoutouts. Cutty Corner shoutouts is our segment we end the show on where you get to complain, rant, or call out something positive. You get the floor and have a chance to say what's on your mind. Cutty Corner shoutouts. Cutty Corner shoutouts.
It's time. Cutty Corner.
We're burning now. God, if you let it in, hell, so cold and bleeding now, now, now. I'm in for it, man. Gonna let you down. He had sex with my mama. We're broken people now. I just said I need a Becky Adams.
Aaron, do you have a Cutty Corner shout out?
I do. My Cutty Corner shout out is to all people, a lot of people, not all, but a lot of people over the age of 50, right? And not just anybody over the age of 50, more or less some of the women, celebrity women that's over the age of 50. These are included, Jennifer Lopez, Elizabeth Hurley, Beverly Johnson, Salma Hayek, along with countless others who are using social media platforms to pose and post their pictures, right? In some of these photos, man, they're at the beach, wearing a bikini on a rainy day. Some of them are in the snow in bikinis. I walked the lake the early morning and there were two women wearing high-end Lululemon yoga outfits. And the photographer was setting up like a camera. And the crazy thing is they didn't do one yoga pose. They had yoga outfits on. They had a yoga mat in their hand and they kept unrolling it. They never put it on the ground. They never did one yoga pose. So what were they doing? I believe they were selling their sexuality. And at what price? What is the cost to our society? I'm going to tell you what the cost is. I realized this when I was going through the pictures of Beverly Johnson. She had a bikini photo, looked good. Salma Hayek placed one a week ago. I was shocked to see my boy Pooh, Return of the Pal. I saw that photo at 7 a.m. and Return of the Pal already liked it, right? I'm looking at them too. I ain't gonna lie. But what I need for this and what we need to do to move forward in this world, I need Apple to make an emoji, and I need them to make a new emoji with a straw and some lips. Because if these women are going to continue to put out these thirst trap posts, then I need a quick way to let these women know that Aaron is coming in to take a sip. I'm drinking up. I need a new emoji to show that I was lost in the desert and now I need some water. To roughly quote my main man, Eugene Levy, and Bring It Down the House, I'm throwing all the cool points out the window because you got me straight sipping, boo. All these 50-year-olds and these damn things and these bikinis with these thirst traps, J-Lo and all you guys, man, just to let you know I'm sipping. I'm taking a sip. Your brother AG3 is coming in with a thirst. I'm dehydrated, all right? I'm looking like I was in 127 days and I cut off my arm and I don't care about my arm. Just give me a sip. You gonna post these thirst traps and let my brother. Don't be mad when a brother like AG3 is in them DMs. Because trust me, he taking a sip. My boy Return of the Pal took a sip. He ain't afraid of it. Shout out to three young brothers. Three young brothers got their podcast going on. I'm going to bring them a shout out in my Cutty Corner. Jarrett, state the name of the podcast, please.
On Some Real Shit podcast.
On Some Real Shit podcast. Three brothers to talk about real interesting topics from dating, politics. They reach it all. They funny. They young. Support them, please. Support each other. But hey, like Return to Pal, I'm straight sipping, baby. Apple, if you hear me, give me some emoji. I want my lips. I don't want red lipstick. I want some black lips with the straw because I'm straight, and I want to be able to post it on. Next time I see some of these women put these thirst trap, I want to post that emoji because I'm straight sipping. You got me straight sipping, boo.
Got to think about gangbanging.
Shout out to Kevin's sponsorship. He saved my marriage. He told me how I should be making love to my woman.
Get the straws ready, Jarrett. They can be the curly straws, the swivel straws, metal straws. If you in the Bay Area, if you a hippie chick, but you got, and you know what, you got it going on, and you posting them bikinis, and you vegan, and you want to use a metal straw, give me a metal straw emoji, because I'm straight sipping out of that too. I'm straight sipping, boo.
Pedro, do you have a Cutty Corner shout out?
I sure do. My Cutty Corner shout out goes to music streaming. Hey, especially you, Google, YouTube Music. Hey, man. Hey, I'm talking to you. Look at me in my eye. Where the hell my music I purchased? You just gonna make me go ahead? You gonna just force me to stream? How you just gonna force me to stream? Hey, I got a couple of albums I bought off that crappy website of yours anyways. But they don't even have everything. Can't find none of the older albums because y'all didn't sign license. Hey, another thing. How in the world is it that you got the De La Soul Stakes is High on your music streaming service and I can't buy the CD nowhere? Hey, Google Music, you need to run my money back or give me my damn files. It's two. You can do two things, and I'm coming after you. And that is not a threat. That's a promise. I'm going to come after you with a lawyer if you don't give me my damn music that I purchased and give De La Soul their money. I'm going to tell. I'm snitching.
My Cutty Corner shout out goes out to President Donald Trump and his pardons that he set out last week. In particular, the pardoning of 4 Blackwater security contractors that were responsible for 14 Iraqi civilians being killed and 17 others wounded in Baghdad's Nisour Square. The names of the men are Evan Sean Liberty. If that's not a white Anglo, I'm gonna kill type names, I don't know what is.
God, but like this, I won't even order a burrito around someone with a name like that because he'll shoot me thinking I was from another country. I'm gonna be a traitor. And then can I get a burrito? What you speaking?
Yeah, man. It was Liberty, Nicholas Slatton, Paul Alvin Slow, and Dustin Laurent Hurd. They were all convicted in their roles in the massacre. However, Trump and them have all said that they acted correctly. That's the very important wording that they're using. It's a very legal form, correctly, within the bounds of what they were ordered to do, within the bounds of the situation that they were ordered to behave in. You know, they said they regret the innocent loss of life, but they behaved or they acted in accordance to what they needed to do. Motherfucker, if this isn't the differentiation between whether you want to say people of color and the white empire, the Western colonial empire of the United States, or the difference between othering other people in other countries and ourselves, yet we want to hold some moral high code and this high ground that is that until we come to terms with that and actually rectify the high ground that we want to act like we have. This is an example of us once again sweeping things under the rug or ignoring our acts or ignoring actors who are acting in the interests of this bigger structure. And it's disappointing. And did I expect anything different from Donald Trump? Or did I expect anything different from this regime? I'm gonna call them regime since that seems to be what they are acting as. No, but it's a kick to the gut for the people around the world, the people in our own country that are forgotten, the people that are marginalized and that are mistreated and subjugated to subhuman treatment. But also, not even just treatment, the conscientious rewriting of a history or the adjudication of the codes and the laws by which we're supposed to act in and protect people under, whether it's international human law or domestic human law. These men killed 14 different people. They seriously injured 17 others. Little children were killed in this. Families were destroyed. If you behave that way, I don't care. It's a time of war. I understand there's a challenge there, but you do a disservice to all the other servicemen, whether it's law enforcement or military in our country. You take away from their credibility by protecting these men who, in this instance, engaged and enacted in an unsafe, in a reckless manner. And yeah, it's time of war, but it doesn't, like, we don't fight wars to lose our humanity. These men were not preserving humanity. They were taking it away. They were seeing themselves and whatever it is, their orders were as more important than the actual humanity. So these men, I don't know all the details, should not have been pardoned. They went through the process. They had more than enough protections. They went through enough of the process. The State Department hired their company. Don't even get me started on the fact that we are contracting out
a private company to go in there and fucking kill people. Man, we got a military for that.
If we need to go in somewhere and there is a wartime, it should be our military that represents our country. That is it, point blank. We don't need no private contractors. We don't need any of that mercenary stuff. I understand that the rich people and the people in power that want to get shit done behind closed doors need that to get their agendas played out, but that is not righteous.
They should have never been over there. They were over there doing dirty work, and part of it, they got caught doing their dirty work and massacre a bunch of people. A bunch of citizens, and they finally got held to trial and held to a standard. And this motherfucker gonna pardon them. He handing out pardons like he handing out more pardons than motherfuckers are handing out sanitizer right now.
Mm-hmm. Like free masks at the Walmart.
Yeah, like I can't believe it. He just handed shit out to people that need to have their ass in jail, in prison. I ain't seen nobody pardon Wesley Snipes for them taxes.
Nope.
Man, he gave us Blade 1 and 2 and 3.
He played Blade even when he was outside of the studio.
Yep, y'all should have seen him play. And shout out to what we do in the shadows. They had Wesley Snipes on there. Dude, it was hilarious. They had a vampire council. They had Danny Trejo in there. They had Wesley Snipes in there, and they were like,
Wesley Snipes playing as.
He was playing himself. He was playing himself, but it was a homage to him being Blade. And they're like, look at him sitting there in the sunlight. He's only a half blood. Why is he here? They're like, he's a vampire. He's got pure blood. They're like, he kills other vampires. It was pretty funny. Anyways, well, that is our show, my friends. That is our show. Any final words you guys have?
My final words, please be out there, stay safe. Shout out to anybody. Just my heart's heavy for any family members that's going through this COVID thing, people or related issue. Please try to stay safe, be safe, and limit your interactions, limit your events, and limit it not just for your family, for other families. And it's hard right now. I hope our government can get their shit together, give out money, keep people from having to be forced to go to work during these times. Just try to stay safe. And oh man, it's just tough, man. It's tough. I don't know the right words to say, and I struggle when I don't know what the right words are. So,
no lie. Everybody stay safe with COVID if you can. I know it's tough for people that's got to make a living, got to make money. Just like Aaron said, we need more funding. Y'all need to be taxed, damn it. Tired of y'all playing around, all these rich people playing around with our tax money, buying their own stock buybacks, you bastards. So I also want to give a shout out to a moment of noise to the great MF Doom. One of the greatest metaphorical, am I saying that right?
Yeah, you said that right.
Metaphorical rappers of our generation. We lost him October 31st. I know he had health problems in the past. Everybody thought he was just doing one of his, it was a stick to disappear. That was part of his show. Him to disappear and show up in odd places. And unfortunately, we lost one of the great creators. All the background music from Adult Swim, Boondocks, was played in the background. That was MF Doom, all you young folks. Generation Z, yeah, that was MF Doom.
I want to give a shout out to my uncle Armin Espinosa passed away the weekend that we recorded our 2020, and I didn't say anything then because I was just focused on the show, but that was that was a tough loss. He had been battling cancer for a long time, so much love to him. But he was basically my other uncle. But
I'm sorry to hear that. My condolences.
Yeah, 2020 sucked, man, and hopefully 2020 will be a little better. But yeah, man, stay safe out there and take care of your, like Marshawn Lynch said, take care of your chicken. You know what I'm saying? Take care of your people, take care of your family, take care of what you need to survive, but don't do ignorant shit, please, and take care. Stay healthy, stay safe, and keep checking us out on our Patreon page if you want to hear more quick hitters and other exclusive content at patreon.com/highscore510. And thank you for listening to the show. And we will leave you with this.
Hey, Marco, how you doing? Surprise, surprise. This is Smokey Robinson. I know you didn't expect to hear from me, but I was contacted by your sons, Jeff and Jarrett, and they told me that you used to live in Detroit across the street from me, and gosh, that's beautiful. How you doing again? Nice talking to you again, I guess. But anyway, you're living in Vancouver now, and they wanted me to wish you happy Chinooka. I have no idea what Chinooka is, but happy Chinooka because they said so. Anyway, God bless you, babe, and enjoy Chinooka. Have a wonderful time. Hey, Marco.
That might get a package. I gotta think.
That might be.
There's something happened in soccer last week that I thought would be interesting, and I just didn't write it down.
Edison Cavani knowing you. Knowing you is probably Edison Cavani.
Well, there was that. There's something else though too.
How about the announcers being boring as shit?
Yeah, never mind. Fuck soccer.
I don't know how I say I'm always talking about man this and that. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to see the Man City highlights because I was walking the dog and missed all the goals in the game. And so I'm watching it for like 30 minutes, the post-game show, and it's called Premier League Goal Zone. And it shows not one highlight. They're just talking for 35 minutes. Dull as hell, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't like Rebecca Lowe or any of the other ones that at least they're little. The ones who live out here, like even though they're English, they live out here. They understand. I think by them living out here and they watch the sports out here, they know like, let me try to jazz this up. Let's laugh a lot, right? Like the one for Fox Sports one, Olivia Abdo, she knows how to do that. Like they joke around a lot. They're like, hey, these English dudes were just sitting there just talking. I'm like, oh my God. And then they kept interviewing the players. They interviewed Phil Foden, boring. These soccer players don't have a lot of personality other than haircuts. A lot of them. Other than the ones who are like African diaspora. The African diaspora. No, NFL, they got personality. You know, you see a lot of personality in some of the guys.
Cool.
I mean, the league is boring, but the players have personality. I
want you, dude. There's another show that runs on a network that makes fun of.
I mean, they're not basketball. Of course, they're not basketball, but they also. I mean, yeah, you can't go there and go through Russell Wilson comparing a personality. But I mean, Richard Sherman I'll go down teams. You can find people on teams. Aaron Rodgers has a lot of personality. He's an asshole, but he's personality wise.
That's what I want. I want assholes. Just be an asshole.
He's an asshole, but I mean, Patrick Mahomes has personality. Alvin Kamara, you know, people, they're funny. No, they're funny guys with personality.
Has a voice. It's a funny voice. That's why everybody likes talking to him.
But he has personality too. I mean, Mark Ingram's a guy I'm thinking of.
Mark Ingram's really good. Mark Ingram is really good. You always need to interview
Ben Roethlisberger in a women's restroom got a lot of personality. OBJ.
Now, OBJ needs to have a Lil Wayne sitting next to him to make it interesting.
Justin Jefferson, interesting. I mean, they seem that they have a lot more guys.
Well, I knocked you off your subject, so you was talking about the soccer.
Antonio Brown got personality. They're just you know. So my thing is soccer has none because see, at least these fools went to college, they party. Even that fool for the Titans who got caught partying again, right? They gone to colleges, they live off around, they done things, they intermingle with different groups. With soccer, the moment you're like in these youth academies, you're only around your team. You're only around your team. You're playing soccer every day. That's all you're doing. You supposedly studying. They don't. There's no mixing with other people. Whereas like out here with American sports and in other sports, you go to college. You still intermingle. Like like I said, football players, they have friends that are on basketball. They have friends are here. You seeing them at clubs. You're seeing them interact with different people on campus and things like that. Soccer, they don't do that, and they're all just fucking boring. They have no personality, and they try to put it on like, oh man, it's a language thing. No, these motherfuckers just dull.
They be having tight haircuts though, bro.
That's why I said that. The ones who have more personality seems to be the ones that's closer to their African diaspora roots, right?
Or they got K-pop haircuts.
But it is the ones that's either like from Brazil or from like Africa. All the French dudes that are African,
French Africans, are
African. Like those are the ones with personality that party. They like Benjamin Mendy, but they're the ones that have funny interviews, right? They got the hair. What was that dude that always changed his hair all the time? Cisse or whatever. I'm sitting there, it's hilarious. Cisse. But he had personality. Soccer has none. So when they're not showing the highlights, which is very few of, you're just sitting there bored. The women announcers are more colorful than the former players that they keep bringing on the shows. Boring.
American women's soccer players is better than anybody American.
Yeah, but it's the women announcers even in Europe.
Playing. So they had a lot more. You got Hope Solo out here butt naked.
Hope Solo, man. You go look at the fappening.com. And if those over 18, look it up.
Hope Solo, she has a record like a concussed football player. Outside of
she's married to a concussed football player.
remember one of the things she got in trouble for is they got caught drunk driving the USA team van. And she had him driving it. I'm like, hold on.
Hope Solo out here in these streets.
I like Hope Solo. She kept me busy though.
Hope Solo was acting totally like a dude. And I'm not saying that in a sexual orientation manner. I don't know.
She wrote a couple chapters in the Lad Bible.
Remember, she got arrested for fighting her nephew.
That was the most gangsterous one.
She got to fight her nephew, her underage nephew, and mom. Her underage nephew and her sister.
That dude sound like a bitch. He called. It's like Hope Solo is beating us.
He was young. He was young. Help. What was he, like 16 or 17 when that happened? He was young.
Yeah, with Hope Solo whooping that ass. She was in there like Ike Turner.